We have like 3 minutes left for questions. So first, before that, before giving the floor, giving the micro to the audience, I just would like to say that I've been working in cyber for quite a while. A very short period of my time comparing to all these very bright and clever guys. But I think that my main experience is that cybersecurity was really interesting in the way that it's very specific. Every time you go into a domain, a scientific domain, cybersecurity really challenges you. And the last one I've been involved into cyber insurance, and it's just amazing how every time you set an issue and you just come out and you really encounter some specificity, some very difficulties. So what I would like to say in very, very brief time is that we really need bright people like you have around the table to ask and to raise the right questions. But what I would say is that we really need you as an audience, as a civil society people, free citizens, not even if you don't live in a free country, but please stand up, raise your arms and say, hey, it might not be the way I want to live in the cyberspace, and just take your own responsibility, as we have been trying to do it this afternoon, because we all are part of private or public organizations, but I really can confess you that some of the people on the table have been talking for themselves, not only in marketing terms. So I'm going to give you the microphone. If you would like to raise questions, feel free to. I think, since the coffee break is starting in 1 minute until, if I read, we have like maybe 10-15 minutes. So you wanted to start?
Thank you, Latif Ladi, the president of the IPv6 Forum. You know how to eat an elephant, it's bite by bite. I liked very much the presentation from Mr. Philippe Wolf. As a matter of fact, brilliant presentation. He proposed using some techniques like the onion routing, which is used for the dark net. And as a matter of fact, Facebook has allowed this since December last year. Now, the question to Philippe, since you have mentioned that Vals has mentioned that it is possible to do, when do you expect, so most probably with your efforts, to get the ISPs in France to allow the onion routing to be working? I think that you will set a massive example for Europe, since the European Commission privacy rules are quite decent, better than anywhere in the world. So you'll be basically supported by the European Commission, while the state nations are against it. So.
Thank you for the question. I don't think I have the ability to to change the decision of the ISP. The problem you raise is a big problem, is what I call security by design, which is more effective than to securize systems which have no security. And you know that IP versus 4, at the beginning, there was no security. And we have very few mechanisms to assume the security on Internet. We have one protocol, which is not so bad when it is well used, which is TLS, SSL, and we have not a lot of protocols. We have IPsec, which can be used also. No, we have very few things. You are working on, I think, the new Internet. And I am working for an institute of research and technology, and we have some people who are working on this new Internet. And I think we have absolutely to build security in the design of the future Internet. That's maybe a way to follow. And maybe it will be onion routing and something like this. But you know that it's always the paradox. The security people say, no. If it is too secure, we cannot make the lawful intercept and so on and so on. You have seen the debates which are now. But my personal position is we have to build a new Internet with security built inside by design. That's my position, but I'm not I have no influence on the policy, on the politicians to make the good decisions. Because we have more to gain with a circle which is secure than to open it like it is today. But it's open discussion. Thank you.
Who else?
I would like to react on onion routing and internet service providers. I think that there is a financial issue also, because onion routing means that the information does not take the shortest path. Shortest usually meaning not the shortest in time, but the shortest in cost. But anyway, onion routing goes against that, and I don't think that the public agrees to pay more to be able to have onion routing. The darknet is a small drop in the ocean. If everyone watching YouTube was to use onion routing to protect the privacy...
No. You have to look at the different scenarios. I'm talking about privacy when you go to the websites and so on and so forth. This is where they collect. If you want to do peer-to-peer and access, you can use also different mechanisms like IP addressing and so on. So it depends on the scenario. In terms of privacy, in this case, it's when you visit websites, they collect information on you. As you rightly said, behavior and this and that, so on, are more important. But when you want to do actions, in this case, you're entitled to have your own IP address. This is what we are doing with IPv6. Because currently we don't have IP addresses. None of you have its own IP address here in this room. So basically you don't even exist on the internet. So apart from the websites that can identify you where you are, and the ISP is also helping to a certain extent. So the ISP normally has to give you the privacy. That should be a service. And if you charge you €5 per month more, I would pay for it. That should not be a problem at all. As a matter of fact, the darknet concept is that way, and it's for free. And why can we allow criminals to use the darknet and not the normal people, as you rightly said? We want to protect 7 billion people and let the government chase, by foot those criminals, because they can't find them on the internet first. It's only afterward when they identify them, then they can trace the logs and the timestamps and so on and so forth. So it's not, the internet is not to find these guys, it's afterward to use it to trace the stuff.
I agree that €5 per month is a good figure, because we have in France a good experience that has been run to know how much people can pay for privacy with an authority named Hadopi, who wants to catch people who download movie, and there are services which are around €5 per month, and people pay for their privacy. So yes, I agree.
Do we have another question? If not, I'm afraid the panelists will start talking to each other once again before lunch, during now. Yes, Colin's got a one. I told you.
You had your chance. The conversation that we've just had was fascinating because it illustrates very well the problem that we've suffered from. Not the content of the conversation, that was fascinating, but we move incredibly quickly from a conversation about the right thing to do to doing the thing in the right way. So we embark on a conversation about privacy before we've established what the boundaries should be between the citizen and the state. Actually, the first thing we have to do is establish what we think those boundaries should be. If we don't, the rest of the conversation is meaningless. Similarly with anonymity, I might like the ability to bring an accusation of law-breaking and wrongdoing against any one of my fellow citizens and yet remain completely anonymous in the process. But in a well-governed country with a good legal system, we don't permit that to happen. The ability to face your accuser in court is an integral part of the protection that's afforded to me as a citizen. So nowhere in a democratic society is there an absolute right of total privacy in all circumstances, under all conditions. Good. There shouldn't be. Are you entirely content with a situation in which there is one modality of communication completely invulnerable to scrutiny by the state? Really? Do you really want a democracy based on the fact that the state cannot at all, under any circumstances, intercept a certain category of communication? Bye-bye democracy, bye-bye civilization. So first, before we start to figure out how we might incentivize the ISPs and all the rest of it, they're second and third order questions. They're irrelevant until and unless we decide collectively, societally, what those new boundaries should look like. So, I don't want decisions about the extension of the franchise into the cyber domain to be made by cryptographers. I want them to be made by society, by philosophers, by political scientists, but most of all by us, by the citizens. And this conversation illustrates it beautifully.
You are swallowing the elephant in one go. You have to do it piece by piece.
No, the opposite. I'm reducing it to first principles.
No, you will not get anywhere, because the European Commission has already set the rules for privacy, and every single European country is against it. So it's in the debate now, and it's going through the parliament. I know that the Brits are going to be against it anyway, because they are not very much pro-European. So we know that discussion very well. But there are things that you can do and still give the government access to data, to timestamps, without even having the names of the people. You can do that.
Of course you can. You can do whatever you like. The question is whether you should.
But I want to give privacy to people. Yeah, criminals, let the governments take care of them. I mean, you're criminalizing everyone. That's not democratic,
No, I'm posing the question. I'm not answering.
I know. That's what you said.
I'm deliberately being provocative in the way I pose the question, but I'm not answering the question. I'm not taking a side in the conversation at all, at this point.
Last intervention, and then we go for coffee break. Is that okay for you all?
No, I like the coffee break. In Finland, you have to have a coffee, but I challenge this society, since we are in Finland and we have a lot of space. So we like to be left alone sometimes. And I would like to see also in the future that people who don't like to be a part of the internet or part of the something can be left alone, so that you have that privacy in your own. And that is your decision, not someone else. That's what I think should be happening.
I agree. Let me just end on a positive note here, just very quickly. The issue is that we have to have personal responsibility. We push everything towards the government and others and so forth. I mean, having your own IP address would be great. We have our own ID, and no one should be able to take that ID. If they do, then they're breaking the law. So maybe we'll get to the point where we have IPv6 and 128-bit will give us plenty of IPs. But in 1971, when we had IPv4, it was 32 billion IPs, and they thought that we would never use all of the IPs. But the issues are far greater than that. What happens is that in the Internet of Things, all of our data is on our personal devices and clients and in the cloud. And when we go to the bank and we take money out or we get something of sensitive nature, we are in charge of protecting that. And if somebody breaks the law by stealing it from us, then we contact the Justice Department or the police or whoever's involved to help us get justice. So we cannot protect our client devices, right? Any client device can be breached. It's not in our control. The controls should be on the server side, should be on the company side. And if we do give them access to private information, then there should be the same rules and regulations as if you robbed a bank or if you breached any organization, that those penalties or justice system legal interaction should occur. And so nothing on the Internet of Things can be protected. That's my challenge to you, nothing. And we've seen it time and time again. Everything can be reverse engineered. It's not in the control of the organization or the government. And so we have to protect it on the organizational or government side, or do not do business with them. So I think it's an issue. Every breach that I've seen, and I've been part of hundreds of breaches, every single one has been solvable. So it's not an impossibility. Every single one had basic issues that were broken. When you protect your house, when you look at a physical house, if you want to have higher security, you put more layers of security. Most of our breaches occur because we have 1 or 2 layers of security, and we are not looking at all the facets of the openings. Every single breach has not occurred through the front door. The good thieves will come through your back door, through your basement, through your attic, through your HVAC system. Do you know that Target was breached through the HVAC application, which had nothing to do with their infrastructure? But the basic tenet of security, of basic networking, was broken because they did not segregate the sensitive data from the non-sensitive data. So someone, a company called Fazio Mechanical in Pennsylvania, was able to connect into any Target retail store worldwide and look at the HVAC system. If there was a problem or there was an issue, they would be able to dispatch somebody locally. But when someone breached that application, they were able to go to any Target store, and looking at the network, they saw credit cards, emails, financial information, and there was no segregation between them. When we go into a government building, a military institution, a building, we have to separate our sensitive departments and buildings from our non-sensitive. And that would have been very easily done, but we didn't do that. So in any case, all of these issues are solvable, and I think we have to look at what we have existing and use those as platforms to push it into a global scale.
So thank you very much. We really have to cut down now. Thank you. You've been very attentive. I mean, thank you so much. And I would like to see you all again in 1 year for the next Global Forum, because I'm sure in the meantime we will keep on talking on all of these issues. Thank you very much once again.